wonderful. Can you share some of the primary obstacles that young individuals face when starting out?
Well, for me, the number one is access to innovation, because most of our innovations are gotten from other countries. Then two, access to capital. We try to run away from it. Even some of the organizations that try to train people, they tell you they just want to give you knowledge, but there's no capital. So even if you want to invest your own money, you have to spend times 3 of what your counterparts in the European axis or in Asia would do. So access to capital is also very
major obstacle.
Important. And then also the government policies. The last time we went for sensitization with the NAFDAC, I asked the director that spoke, and I said, among all of you that spoke, nobody mentioned the youth. And I was like, you have to start looking towards these people, because they are the ones that have the energy, that know what they're doing. So the government policies must find a way to reflect on the youth and also favor the youth. So these are the things that hinder us.
That's a great point that you raised there. And when you talk about some of these issues, honestly, we always come back down to the issue of policies and different administrations and whatnot. What specific skills can we say are indispensable for encouraging young people who are aiming to thrive in agribusiness?
These skills are things that would help drive the particular area where you're focused on. For me, who is in processing, you have to go through the processing skills, right? How to process, how to dry, how to preserve, the right policies you have to follow for you to be able to reach the market. The difference between I, myself, sitting here and the Alamajiri walking on the street is skill. And then, like I mentioned earlier on, I'm focused on protein-based products. At every point you find any of my products, there's a bit of protein trace to it. So if you're building your skill on protein, okay, how do I innovate? How do I bring in new protein? What are the products or the nuts or the animal protein that I know that I can help to advance in this? So, and then also skill in the area of study. You must get educational skill, basic communication skill, just like we're doing right now. There are so many farmers who might have this opportunity. They even know agriculture more than I myself, but they don't have the communication skill. So you need to look at these areas.
Yeah, right.
And then you must also know what you're doing. For example, if you see us on the road, you will not know we're farmers. But if you take us to the farm now, we'll display. You need to build on the area where you find your strength. And then you cannot do it all. I also am privileged to serve in a church, and I noticed that even though I am the service coordinator, I cannot do it all. I can sing, I can act as an usher, I can do this, but collaboration, like my brother mentioned earlier on, if we don't collaborate, you cannot. Even Christ himself, had to gather men, for him.
He had disciples who were going out there and spreading the message.
It's very important because we all have our different
areas of strength.
Yes.
So thank you so much. So speaking of technology is reshaping industries around the world, because now we found ways of infusing it when it comes to agribusiness. So it's not the old order of things anymore. What specific technologies or innovations could revolutionize agribusiness for young entrepreneurs?
So talking about technology, I had mentioned earlier on communication, but now I want to expand more on food storage. As one who is focused on food processing, you have to really, really consider your food storage, technology. So I did a research after I had in the YAS project an assignment outside whatever I said, how can we store grains the best ways? So it gave me the push to go and do more research on how do we store grain. And I found out, as one who grew up in Abuja, among the Baggy people who are the locals, they have these huts that they build, and then they pour in their grains there, and they seal it up. I don't know how they do that. So, and after all the research, even from the Seed Council of Nigeria, they found out that the ancient type of practice of seed storage, it serves better than the technology. So
than the modern technologies.
While we're looking towards technology, we should know that our ancestors had technologies that they used to
really they did.
Because even the grain stored in fridges in Europe or in the Scandinavian countries where they have a lot of snow and other things, the highest they can stay is within that 3 years or more. If not, they start losing some kind of potency and the nutrients, or they cannot
and whatnot.
Again. So that's why we have to start looking at other technologies that we used to see as this is local. The technology that comes from China, if you take your own technology to them, they still see it as tech.
Because they will probably improve on that technology and make something more advanced.
Yes, and maybe build the house better or seal it better, or maybe look for some other kind of component you use. And then we have to also look at the climate aspect, and then the area of networking. I've had more opportunities online than any other
platform.
Why? Because I try to engage online. I see some people, they off their data. They say they want to save data. Why are you saving data? We're in a jet age. We're supposed to have
you need to be
internet
reachable
everywhere.
24/7. Yes, it's no longer
Yes,
a luxury. It's a necessity now.
Especially as youth farmers, if you say you're a youth in agribusiness, you should be reachable. People should be able to write you from Kano to seek advice or to ask you about your product or to know more about. People from Omahia write me, and I'm in Abuja. As a matter of fact, the first person that patronized my product wrote me from South Africa.
Wow.
And told me to supply to his sister who lives in Abuja here. So we must look at the technology already existing and build on them and then leverage on them. And when we had a lunch with the Embassy of Netherlands and we were having a discussion, they were like, what is it that we really need? I said we need innovative technologies. It's not that we don't have sharp brains who are into tech, who can bring new innovations, but let's look at the countries that have gone far in whatever various technology
from
they've mentioned.
What they've done.
And then we work, and then I said we can work from the three sides because Nigeria is still yet out of the agricultural age. Agriculture, industrial, and tech. We are currently in the tech age. But now we have the capacity as youths, as Africans, as Nigerians, to go on the three sides at once. We don't need to wait to go through the agricultural age, then now grow into the industrial age.
Yes.
We can go from all sides. Using social media, using whatever technology you can get, using the one that you know, maybe the tractor or the hand tool that you know your brother has in this farm.
So let's come to the role that partnerships between the private sector and NGOs and even educational institutions can play in empowering youth in agribusiness.
Okay, using ourselves as example, we as individuals, with just three of us, we can form a cooperative, start teaching, making it formal, where we can also attract, donors or people who want to volunteer and join us. So if you notice, most of the people who are doing great impact are from the Americas or Europe, and the Asians coming in right now. So
now it's time for us to see Africans.
Yeah, it's now for us. There are some of them who are there.
Okay, so now looking ahead, you mentioned the three different areas of evolution that humanity has passed through, and now we're on the tech angle of it. And we're not saying this is a bad thing. However, we cannot ignore other areas when we talk about the future of humanity. So looking ahead, what steps can we begin to look into to ensure that agribusiness remains a part of the conversation?
For me, it's becoming a success story. When you become a success story, then you have people that become, your followers or maybe your admirers or whatever.
Get inspired.
Yeah, so they are inspired by whatever you're doing. If you're not a success, nobody will look at you. So in the agribusiness space, you must become a success. The IITA YAS project have trained over 2,000 persons in Abuja. But the last time we had an exhibition, we were less than 8. But that 8, it's a success story that people see from far and wide, even down from America. I have somebody who sends me 100,000 naira one time. He said, you're doing chicken business. He wants to support me, and he gave me 100,000 naira. So because of the success story, you find out that it's still a topic that keeps on going. So if you're a success, it's easy for you to, pass
it
the
speaks
message.
For you.
So I think the major thing we need to do is whatever you're doing, whichever place you find yourself doing it, like Martin Luther King, he said, do it so that the angels will become jealous of you. That the angels in heaven will look down and say, wow, this guy, I want to be like this guy. So I think being a success story is the most important thing.
Brilliant final words from HFU.